Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Monday, June the 19th. Lots of little odds and ends to catch up with. This is what I've got. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court today, in the case of an Alabama death row inmate, said that he'd been unconstitutionally deprived of an independent mental health examination before he was convicted and sentenced to die in a rape and murder case in Tuscaloosa. This has an impact in Arkansas. Bruce Ward and Don Davis had been scheduled to die earlier this year by order of Governor Asa Hutchinson, but their executions were delayed because they raised the same question, that they had not received independent mental health evaluations of their capacity. Now, each case is decided differently, but certainly they're going to get a chance now, based on the Supreme Court precedent, to argue that the same thing applied to their cases. Also today, the Supreme Court again put off a couple of interesting gay rights cases. Colorado, there's a case where a baker wants to be able to not sell cakes, wedding cakes, to gay couples, and Arkansas wants to keep its practice of discriminating against gay people in the issuance of birth certificates to same-sex marriage couples and not give them automatic parentage like they do to opposite-sex couples. The Supreme Court has put off until the last week of this week's term decisions on whether they will take up both those cases. Saturday night at the Rave Theater, a very popular place in Little Rock, a man walking in to see a movie with his friend was shot in the hip by gunfire that broke out on the parking lot. He wasn't the subject of the gunshot. He was an innocent bystander. The police said he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He went to a movie in Little Rock on Saturday night. That's apparently the wrong place to be and at a wrong time. Kind of sobering news. The gunshots also shot up 4 cars on the parking lot. The man who fired the guns got away. Don't really know what that was about. Josh Duggar, you remember him, of the famous Duggar clan, whose sexual molestation case involving some of his family and another woman led to a lot of tabloid publicity last year. The sisters filed an invasion of privacy lawsuit. Then Josh Duggar, the man who started it all, tried to intervene in the lawsuit, perhaps to join in the damages sought against the publishing company and the people who released documents about the case. Friday, he had the good sense to drop out of being an intervener in the case. I think that was a pretty good decision. Also late Friday, after we taped on Friday's news headlines, the Arkansas Bar Association House of Delegates met and voted 72% in favor of a constitutional amendment to battle the amendment that's been put on the ballot by the legislature for the business community to limit damages in lawsuits. 72%, however, was not enough for House of Delegate approval. It needed 75%. This means the Bar Association won't officially be behind the campaign for this amendment. It might make it impossible to get on the ballot without their support. That's not yet certain, but it was a setback for an effort to still have the courthouses in Arkansas open to everybody and not just business people. There was a defense verdict Friday night in the big class action lawsuit over the amount of money Southwestern Energy and its related companies were paying the landowners in the Fayetteville Shell for gas drawn from their land. The lawsuit said that they were taking too many expenses out of payments to landowners. There was a verdict for the defense on all counts Friday night. The interesting question, and we still don't know the answer, is whether this will breathe life back into a state court settlement of similar claims that had resulted in a $45 million settlement to which the gas company had agreed. That settlement was terminated when the federal case went to trial. Still a lot to shake out from that decision, but it was a big win for the gas company Friday night in federal court. Bad week last week for Ascent Children's Health Services. This is a group of mental health facilities, part of a national chain owned by Acadia, but headed in Arkansas by State Representative Dan Sullivan, who's a Republican and a foe of regulation of child care facilities. They had a child die in a van, forgotten there all day when the temperature reached 147 degrees in the van. They had to be shut down Wednesday after very careful handling by the health department because of Sullivan's position over a huge Shigella outbreak, a bacteria that left some 40 people sick. And then we learned late in the week as well that the matter of Medicaid billings had been sent to the Office of Medicaid Inspector General for review to make sure all procedures being followed by Sullivan's outfit. It seems, among other things, that the child who died in a van Friday was marked up as being present in class and thus eligible for reimbursement by Medicaid funds for being there. Clearly, he wasn't in class that day, so the state decided a broad review of all of the agency's practices were in order. Remember, this is a representative who got regulation stripped of his type of business. This is by the Early Childhood Commission, the only piece of legislation he passed in 2017. A sad piece of news for Little Rock residents a regular figure on the streets for something like 6 decades, although he's been in rehab the last couple of years. Melvin Pickens, known as the Broom Man, a genial man who walked the streets of the Heights and Hillcrest and the Kavanaugh Business District selling brooms with real straw bristles, died Sunday night at the age of 84. He's remembered by many people, got featured on the CBS Evening News. And finally, we always end with a talk about resistance of the policies that we think are not good for America. A big group of resistors went into Tom Cotton's office Friday and had a sit-in and said they didn't like that he was among the small group of people secretly trying to put together a health care bill to ruin Obamacare and the immense benefits it's brought to the people of Arkansas and the United States. Well, the Democrats in the Senate have gotten the word. I don't know if the media has gotten the word in the course of following Donald Trump's Twitter account, but all this secrecy is not good for democracy, and the Democrats in the Senate now say they're going to invoke every rule they can invoke to slow down the procedure in the Senate to prevent adoption in secret of a health care bill that affects millions of people. They're resisting. So will we. Hope you do too. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.